The conflict between Israel and Iran has escalated sharply, raising concerns of a broader regional crisis and increasing instability across the Middle East. In recent days, both nations have engaged in missile and air attacks targeting military sites, strategic infrastructure, and key defense installations. This direct confrontation marks one of the most serious escalations between Israel and Iran in recent years, moving beyond indirect conflicts and proxy engagements that have defined their previous hostilities. The current crisis reportedly began after joint United States-Israeli airstrikes targeted strategic locations in Iran. These strikes were reportedly aimed at facilities linked to Iran's missile and defense programs. Iran immediately condemned the attacks as violations of its sovereignty and launched a series of drone and missile strikes targeting Israeli positions in retaliation. Iranian officials described their response as an act of self-defense, warning that they would continue to respond to any aggression directed at their country. In Israel, air raid sirens sounded across multiple cities, forcing civilians to take shelter. Defense systems were activated to intercept incoming missiles, and military forces were placed on high alert. Analysts note that this open exchange of attacks represents a direct confrontation that increases the risk of prolonged escalation. The intensity and immediacy of these strikes highlight the seriousness of the current situation, drawing the attention of neighboring countries and global powers alike. Several Middle Eastern nations are closely monitoring the unfolding events, increasing their security measures and preparing for potential spillover effects. Governments in the region fear that continued escalation could draw in other nations, potentially leading to a larger regional war. The international community has called for restraint, urging both Israel and Iran to pursue diplomacy rather than further military action. Organizations like the United Nations have emphasized the urgent need for dialogue, warning that the continuation of hostilities could lead to significant humanitarian crises. The conflict is already affecting global markets. Oil prices have risen sharply due to fears of supply disruptions, reflecting the strategic importance of the Middle East in energy production. Financial markets are experiencing volatility as investors react to the instability. A prolonged confrontation could have widespread implications for trade, energy supply, and economic stability worldwide. Civilians in affected areas are facing growing uncertainty. Schools, businesses, and transportation systems have been disrupted, and humanitarian groups warn that continued military actions could result in casualties and displacement. The potential humanitarian consequences add urgency to diplomatic efforts aimed at de-escalating the situation. For now, the world is watching closely as tensions between Israel and Iran continue to rise. While both nations have signaled readiness to continue military operations if provoked, international leaders are pushing for dialogue and negotiation to prevent a wider regional conflict. The coming days will be critical in determining whether diplomacy can halt the escalation or whether the situation will spiral into a broader confrontation affecting multiple countries.